The mighty men of Troy of USC begin a make or break season for 2026 with 15 returning starters. They face off against the San Jose Spartans in the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum for a chance to return to its prior glory. Is this the breakout year that Lincoln Riley has been needing to save his job at USC? Is this the year that USC can break through in the playoff? These are my predictions and our preview as the Spartans head west to take on the USC Trojans. Hello, everyone. I am Lucas Hill, host of the Southern Sports Scene. Make sure you all do us a favor and hit the like, share, and subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell notifications so that you are notified every time we go live, posting a video or posting a short on the Southern Sports Scene. Every live show brought to you by our good friends over at Frost Buddy. Going over to frostbuddy.com, use that promo code SSS15 to get 15% off of your first purchase. That is code SSS15 to get 15% off of your first purchase. We also want to thank our friends over at Chike Nutrition. With 20 grams of protein, 1 gram of fat, and 1 gram of sugar, you can get every healthy, hearty cup of coffee. And start it off with our friends at Chike Nutrition. Click the link below. Get yourself 10% off your first purchase. As always, guys, thank you to our friends over at Buzzer for allowing us to use their platform so that we can publish the best content available on the internet. There has never been a bigger season for USC than there is this year. There is no more pressure that is on one coach than what Lincoln Riley has to bring back in 2026. When you look at the returning production for this team, there is no doubt in my mind USC is the leader in the FBS with 15 returning starters. Why do you think there's so much pressure on them? You bring back your starting quarterback, your 2 best running backs, one of your best receivers. Now, you obviously have to address the situation where you lose a guy like Makai Lemon, who won the Biletnikoff Award this past season, as well as Jacoby Lane. You have secondary problems that obviously have to be addressed, even though you return 2 really solid pieces in the backfield. But overall, I don't think there has been more pressure on a team like USC than there has been in a very long time. And guess who put that on themselves? It's none other than Lincoln Riley himself. This is a team that really over the last 10 plus years of Lincoln Riley being a head coach, every year just seems like it's such an underwhelming year because of how bad and how lackluster your defense has been. That doesn't seem to be the case this year. This is one of the best defenses that is going to be returning in the Big Ten. You bring in Gary Patterson, who's a fantastic coordinator, who still has that itch in him. Yes, the loss of DeAnton Lynn will hurt. He was an obviously very solid coordinator, but there were some times in late game situations that defensively you were let down a lot. So I think Gary Patterson is an aggressive DC. I think is a phenomenal hire at the end of the day. But I think that at the end of the day, look, you have so much talent on both sides of the ball. It is hard for you not to capitalize on the great amount of talent that USC brings back this year. And for us to realistically say that this team isn't under a lot of pressure because of what you brought back. I don't think that this is even close to what Penn State was this past season, but I will say this. If USC does not make the college football playoff this year, Lincoln Riley will be entering 2027 on the hot seat, and his job is going to very likely be in jeopardy when it is all said and done. Ken Niumatalolo begins his 3rd season in 2026. Last year, I thought you had a solid team for the most part. I think they had some really good things happen to them this past year. But here's what hurt them at the end of the day. It was defense. They lost a lot of close games down the stretch in the season. Central Michigan, Stanford, they should have won that game, man. They should have beaten Stanford. Okay? They had, it was very early on in the season. First half of the year, 1, 2, 3, 4 losses that year that were decided by one possession, 7 points or less in those football games. The rest of the year was blowouts. You lose to the top 3 of the 4 teams that you lost to, 2 on the road, 2 at home. 3 of the 4 were in the top half of the Mountain West Conference this past season. San Jose State was actually picked to finish 4th in last year's Mountain West poll because of the amount of talent that you brought back. Now this year, it just seems like it's a rebuild year. It really does. Danny Sudero is gone. He's at Colorado. Walker Eaget, your top quarterback from this past year. This is the number 1 passing offense this past season in the Mountain West. Those 2 guys are gone. Eagle's at Duke. Danny Sudero, who led all of college football in receiving this past season, he's now at Colorado. You have 2 of your top 3 receivers that are gone. Leland Smith to UCLA. Kyrie Scholes is now at Utah. But you did bring in some solid guys for the most part. Luke Weaver, who's a guy that came from Modesto JC, was one of the top junior college quarterbacks this past year. Spent some time in Hawaii, got a couple starts, ended up getting hurt after a couple of seasons. Remember, it wasn't that long ago. He's very familiar with the West Coast. I think that this offense fits him. I think this is a great opportunity for him to get a whole lot better in the run and shoot offense that Craig Stutzman loves to run. But like I said, Ken Nuyamatasolo did a very good job of going into the offseason and getting some really, really solid hires. Bojay Filamatu, solid hire from him. Last year's interim defensive coordinator. You stayed inside the organization, which I think for the most part was not bad. But you do go out and get some other solid guys. Brian Norwood is going to be your defensive pass game coordinator and DB's coach. I thought he was solid for the most part with the Horned Frogs this past year. Sent a couple guys to the NFL. But I think you also have to understand that there was a lot more that you could have done that you kind of missed out on. But I think for the most part, I think San Jose State should be a lot better up front. The front 7 was a big weakness for them this past year. It's a new look Mountain West. It just seems so much more wide open this year because of the loss of teams like Boise State, San Diego State, Fresno State, Colorado State, Utah State are gone. You bring UTEP, North Dakota State, Northern Illinois. San Jose State is the only returning Mountain West member that has won a title, which they took in the short in 2020. But it is obviously going to be an uphill battle for them this year. What is this team going to look like at the receiver position? I think is going to be the biggest question for San Jose State at the end of the season. It is this team still the pipeline of top talent that has come through? What is guys like Jerry McClure, Jordan Anderson, transfers that came in from Sac State and San Diego State, respectively? What does Dominic McKenzie look like, who came in from BYU? Arizona transfer Malachi Riley, who was a guy that didn't get a whole lot of action this past year. He's going to get a lot more touches this upcoming season. You brought in Anthony Ivey from Penn State. He should be a very, very good target for you at the end of the day. But one of the things that I saw that San Jose State struggled with this past year as well was their running game. This was a team that just averaged 119 yards a game. Isaiah Carlson comes in, who's the UCLA transfer. I really think he's an explosive running back at the end of the day. Yeah, I think that he's going to do some really good things for this backfield. I think he's done really well for the most part. He's a special teams guy this past season, one of the top athletes in the country, top 50 athlete, according to multiple outlets. Was actually playing outside linebacker and played running back coming out of high school in Ferndale High School out in Wesco. I think that there is a lot of potential for him. I think he's exploded at times in spring, even in fall camp. So, look, man, I really do believe that this team is going to do some really good things. Over under this year is 4.5 games. Here is where I think the big games come into play. I don't expect them to win this first game, but I think your next 3 games, when you play at Eastern Michigan, Cal Poly, and Fresno State, if you can leave September 2-2, you're in a much better position knowing that you get home games against Wyoming, Northern Illinois, North Dakota State. Maybe you can pull some upsets on the road at Nevada. Maybe you go to Air Force to get to that 6th win. Who knows? But I think it's going to be another rebuild year for Nui Matalolo because of all that you lost, man. It's hard to replicate the same offensive prowess that you had from Walker Egan and Danny Sudero that you had last year. I just don't see the same success that you had offensively that you did last year. We'll see what the defense looks like, but this should be a cakewalk for USC. I think they easily take this football game, but we're going to see what this offense looks like on both sides, which I'm really intrigued to see. But that's my thoughts. What do you guys think? Do you see USC underperforming in this football game? I don't think they do. I think they have to come out with their hair on fire and make a statement, even if it's against San Jose State. Okay, this was a 3-9 team last year in the Mountain West. Okay, this is a team that's not supposed to be any good. They're supposed to be maybe a 4-8, maybe a 5-7 team at best. Who knows what happens with the Spartans this year? But never count out Ken Nui and Matalolo's team to put up a fight at the end of the day. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell notifications so that you are notified every time we go live, posting a video or posting a short here on the Southern Sports Scene. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, y'all stay blessed and don't stress. Have a good day.